Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ageless Lounge this week, and we're going to be talking with Katie and Haig of Q4 Financial Designs, and just talking as we usually do about midlife and all the wonderful, blissful moments that we have in it. Hi, Katie. Welcome.
Hi, Robin. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here with you.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to have you here. But before we get started and we jump in, I want to know what you think of when I say I think you're an ageless woman.
I feel ageless. And I think I was thinking this morning actually that when someone says, "How are you?" I'm going to start saying ageless because
I like
it reminds me, right? It reminds me that I have the opportunity at whatever age or stage I am at in my life to roll in all the rest of my life. There really has not been age anywhere along the way if we're looking at it from the depth of our experience and how we get to bring that forward and kind of redefine it or reframe it and see the perfection of it.
Yes. Well, you just made my day with that definition because you know how I feel about the word ageless. I absolutely love that word. If you haven't heard it before, you'll hear it on many of these episodes with me. I love the word ageless over pro-aging or anti-aging because I believe that all women are not defined by our age, our hair, or our appearances, and that we are just ageless, rocking this life that we live in. So thank you for sharing that. You made my day. So, Katie, introduce us a little bit. Tell us a little bit about what you do with Q4 Financial Designs.
Yeah, thanks for asking. Q4 Financial Designs comes from my heart, Robin, and I have a mission, and I was given a mission. I feel very strongly about that to really be a warrior for women's finance and fulfillment. Those two things have to go together; they're not separate. And I was given this mission, so I want to give you a little bit of background because I think it'll tell you about what I do and especially why I do it. Um, I was in human services for many, many years. I've been a nonprofit girl my whole life, and I, even though I was sitting across from families in 2008 and forward, if you remember what happened in 2008 to the economy, I was sitting as a financial coach for folks, a certified financial counselor, a debt counselor, a bankruptcy counselor, a HUD housing counselor. I was seeing 5 families or individuals a day. Many tears were shed in my office. But what they didn't know was that I was crying on the inside across the desk from them. And what I was really teary about myself at that time was that I thought I knew about money. I really thought somehow I knew about money. And I think a lot of us walk through life like that. And yet, what I had done 2 years before was I had taken all of my nonprofit retirement money out and I had invested it in real estate. Why would I do that? Because that's what I saw my family do. They were really good at it, and I made good real estate investments if it weren't for 2008. It was all about timing. So I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a coach. I did what I felt was the right thing to try to get ahead. And I lost everything, Robin. I lost everything, and it was devastating for me. And here I am. Ironically, this is how life unfolds. Is I'm sitting in front of people, helping them dig out of deep financial holes when I'm in one myself. And ultimately, someone came along and I said, "When are you going to retire?" And he said, "I know exactly when I'm going to retire and with how much money." And I thought, oh, I've been sitting on my hands for 6 years, just crying inside because I made such an error and I felt so guilty and so shamed of myself. I said, "Can you please help me? Connect me with someone." And he did. And it you know, God sent me to an organization that I work with now that really put the pieces back together for me and got me back on track and educated me formally about money, retirement, how to talk to people, all of these all of these things that now make up Q4 Financial Designs. And, I'll kind of end the story by saying that in 2020, that break in
Mhm.
life we got in 2020,
Right?
uh, I did a course to work on myself, which I think is critical. And in that course, it came to me through some chakra work and some head work and some heart work, that I'm to write a book. And ironically, I went into my husband's office next door after I got out of the course and I said, I'm going to write a book. And he said, well, that's funny because I just got an email that's odd for me to get about a 90-day book writing course. And I thought,
Kismic, Kismic.
that's for me, right? So I wrote the book in about 120 days. And the book was about women in finance. So clearly, my experience sitting across from all those families crying inside was just a setup for my mission, right? That
Mhm.
happens so often to us. And so Q4 Financial Designs has come from that manuscript that I've written of seeing what pain women go through with money, seeing how we have blind spots around money that, if illuminated, could change the trajectory of our lives. And so I'm a fully licensed, financial advisor. But what I really do is to help design life for women who are not just heading into the fourth quarter of life, but also setting up younger generations to make sure that that fulfillment is there. Whether we've lost our partner, whether we never had a partner, divorce, all the things that can happen. But the end goal, Robin, is fulfillment. And
I
getting the
love
money to match up to that is what we're all about.
That's awesome. When I assume like I'm guessing, I shouldn't say I assume. We all know what that makes you if you kind of separate those words a little bit, right? But I always think of like at this stage of the game, especially when we start hitting our 40s and 50s, like in our 20s and 30s, we're thinking life is a peach, right? Everything's coming our way. We're getting jobs, we're raising kids, we're doing all these things, and we're very motivated by finances. At least the younger generation is very, they want it now, they want it right away, versus when we grew up, it was more like you were supposed to work for somebody forever and then you got a pension, which is not the case for most companies anymore, right? So all of a sudden there's a lot of women that are in this 40, 50 mark and above that are suddenly finding themselves like, like what's next? Or I hear like, oh, I'm never going to get to retire at the rate I'm going. That's kind of scary to think of. Like, I don't know if I could ever retire per se to not be doing something and keeping active. But the fact that so many women come to this place where I feel like they're looking for that guidance, either their husbands handled all the finances or they just didn't handle, like you said, you made some choices that ended up coming and backfiring against you that start you over. And it can be kind of scary.
Absolutely.
And you said you felt the shame. And I thank you for admitting that, because I think so many women, we don't want to open up about it. We don't want to talk about it. I mean, as it is, money is always a excuse me, a hush hush conversation in the first place, right? But I love that you are taking your experience, your very personal one as well. So you're just not sitting there going, oh, okay, I get it, I get it. You lived what they're going through as well, so you can actually really understand them. What do you find is one of the top things that women, let's say 40 plus, I know you want to help the future generation as well, and I think that's fabulous, but let's talk about like to the woman who right now is maybe in her 50s, maybe even 60s, maybe she's going through a divorce or through she's been widowed, or maybe it's just she's coming to that place where she's trying to figure out what to do next. What are some of the key areas you think she needs to focus on with her financial knowledge, wisdom?
Well, I'm going to go with the wisdom word, because I think we specialize in that as women. We have deep intuition, and at that point in life, we have more wisdom than we've ever had. That's when we get to bring everything forward that we've lived through and really reflect back and say, where has this been leading me? What has this been teaching me? What has this been shining a light on about my life and who I am, what I'm here to experience, what I'm here to share with other people? Is there a mission? So I guess what I'm trying to say at first here is that it's really important to dream at this age, because we are caregivers by nature, and we've been caregiving our whole lives. 9 out of 10 women have been caregivers. Even if they have an active husband, we tend to step into that space, don't we? And
We
we're
do.
and so it has kind of been fulfilling from that space for us. But now it's time to fulfill ourselves from who are we. A lot of times at this age in our 50s, which I call Q3, the third quarter of life, we're empty nesters, right? We have all this wisdom, we have experience, we have opportunity to really earn, or earn in a different way than we were. Maybe we want to leave our job and become self-employed, or join a different organization and be doing things that really express who we are and not just what fits our lifestyle. So we have some special choices in Q3 in our 50s and going into retirement, that we really get to do a lot of self-examination of what do we want the rest of this life to reflect of us? What do we want this life to reflect to us? And once we can do that, then we can answer an important question, Robin. And that question is this. Okay, I don't know if I can retire, right? That's not the question. The question is, do you have enough money? No, that's not the question. The question is, enough money for what? That is the question, right? Because we get caught up in this whole world of Google and other people's opinions
Shiny
about how much,
objects.
yeah, right,
Yep,
exactly,
shiny
about
objects.
how much shiny object, about how much money we need to retire. And the question is, for what? How much money for what? Because we haven't really defined ourselves yet and what we want the rest of life to look like. And we have to know what that fulfillment piece looks like in order to make the money piece match it. And when we're working, Robin, and when we're working from inspiration out here, from knowing what we want life to look like, it's really different than working from back here where motivation lives, right?
So what I'm hearing you say is that for the most part, a lot of people are not focused on the right thing. They're focused on the dollar amount versus what it is they want to be doing to fulfill their lives, right? So like if somebody wants to travel the world, their dollar amount in retirement is going to be much higher than somebody who maybe wants to just be at peace around their grandkids and doesn't want to do a lot of traveling, right? Is that what I'm hearing? Kind of like it's what your core values of what you want to do in your retirement and how to then figure the plan to meet those. So if I tell you I only need, say, I don't know, I'm not even thinking numbers. Like, let's say I only need like $100,000 a year total, which sounds like a lot right now in the sense of retirement, because I think of less than that because I don't want to have all this extra stuff. But like, you're kind of basically saying, like, let's look at what it is that you would like to do. Do you want to travel? Do you want to downsize? Do you want to take an RV around the US and not have a home base, right? Those things all come into play. Allergies.
Good.
Those things all come into play with what that number looks like. So it's going to be very different for everyone. Is that what I'm hearing correctly from you?
That, that is exactly it. It's different for everyone. And our fear can really get built up by listening to someone else's numbers or what Google has to say. And even if we reach that place, when we start answering that question of what do we want the rest of life to look like, then we can, I mean, if there's not the dollar amount left there to match that, first of all, if we're in the third quarter in our 50s, we can put the pedal to the metal, as they say, right? We can be inspired to earn more at that point and invest more. But as I say in the manuscript, in the book that I wrote, if we're not there and we're already 60, 65, even 70, and we don't have the money to match who we see ourselves to be, that's when the life coach in Katie comes alive. Like I was certified as a life coach when it wasn't cool, before everybody was a coach, right? Back in 2000.
Right.
And that's where I go, okay, let's talk about how we can make those things happen in your life without spending a lot of money. You know, traveling and teaching English as a second language, traveling and using trusted house sitters to go and sit with people's dogs, which I think is a dream come true, to travel and be with dogs. So like that's good for me. But matching those values again doesn't always have to cost a lot of money. And there's another way to look at that too, and that is to recognize that we have each other. So I might not have a condo in Costa Rica, but you might, and you'd
Right.
love company, right?
Right. I
So
love
there,
your thinking out of the box. I love that you from other conversations Katie and I have had, she's spoken about this again. That there are ways to create the life you want without all the expense that we automatically think has to be a part of it. And I think that's an important message to share, especially with women, that there are ways we can get out of those boxes, right? I think as women we get put in a lot of boxes of what we're supposed to do, what we're supposed to look like, what's supposed to happen. And then we don't get to peek out from the boxes, or we stay in those within those walls because that's what we've been taught we're supposed to do. And I love that you are sharing, like, I had never thought about traveling in the sense the way that you're talking before our conversations about that you could go like house sit. That's kind of cool. I mean, is that for everybody? Maybe not, but what a unique way that if somebody is, especially if you are in a position where like your kids are all grown, they all have their own lives, or grandkids have their own lives, maybe you end up being widowed or single at this point in your life, and there's nothing to tie you down, nothing that makes you have to check the list. So I got to double check with so and so before I can do this. To be able to think of the idea of traveling the world by those unique experiences, house sitting. I'm like you. I have 3 dogs, so the pet sitting thing really resonates with me. If I could ever get around to doing the pet sitting thing, that would be a lot of fun because I love animals. Although it'd be hard to leave the 3 I have right now. So
right, somebody else gets to come in and sit with yours while you go
yes,
across the
but
globe and sit with.
I love that you bring that piece to things because I don't know that a lot of women, especially, realize that there are a lot more options that we need to know about, that we need to do the research on for ourselves, or like bring somebody like you in that has that wisdom and can kind of say, hey, what about this? Because sometimes we get so caught up in going, I can't, I can't, I can't, that you need the other voice going, but what if you can? You
Yes,
know?
well said, well said. You know, it's a puzzle. It's a puzzle to put together with the money and with the dreams. And I love puzzle making. You know, go on vacation and there's always a jigsaw puzzle on the table and like that. So it's been true in my whole life. But, you know, with the money piece, I do want to address that because in Q3, when we're in our 50s, as I said, we have time to catch up and to reallocate. And that's the point when it's important to have a strategy. You know, once we get clear on our dreams, then what's the strategy from the money side as well as from the resource side that we were just mentioning? You know, and so that is the other big piece that I think we as women kind of miss out on. And we're just not used to having a strategy. Either we're used to our husbands doing it, you know, depending on what era we are from, or we end up in a financial services office where it's very transactional. It's very transactional and not relationship based necessarily. There are a lot of older male advisors that are still around. Many of them are retiring now and being replaced by women. But it's so important to have an advisor that you can A, share your heart with, B, feel like you can get educated with without being spoken down to, educated by without being spoken down to, and C, feel comfortable getting agreement on a strategy to move forward, because that is a stage in life where we do want to start moving things around, you know, kind of maybe amping things down, maybe amping other things up. making sure that we have a goal that we are working toward together and checking in on a regular basis.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's important. I think I mean everything you just said, kind of like I'm like yes, yes, yes. And you're right that having a plan or a strategy, however you want to refer to it, right? And the assistance to help stay on track because sometimes it's hard to stay on track. You know, an emergency comes up and you have something you've got a vet, let's use the vet, you know, a vet bill that's something you weren't expecting that cuts into what you're doing, right? That yes, there's got to be some strategy and planning so that you can get your place to that peaceful place. And again, I don't know that enough women really focus on that. I think it's more prevalent now than it used to be because when I was in the 90s, I guess, in the career world at that point in time, all the financial advisors that were around me in the Chamber of Commerce I belonged to were all men. There wasn't a single one of them was a woman. And I can remember being frustrated meeting with him at one point in time because he did not get what I was telling him I wanted. And he wasn't like, it was this, I mean, my husband was there as well. And so we were trying to plan things, but like he was struggling. He was coming totally from the financial world piece and not being able to hear that yes, that's an important piece, but I also want to be able to do this and this that are not about keeping everything to myself per se. So I think it's really that piece of connecting. And I think for women especially, the idea that there are more women professionals out there that can be relatable to you to help you, I think makes it a little bit easier for women to start thinking about, well, maybe I do need to look for an advisor now. Maybe just doing it on my own or trying to do it on my own maybe it could be amplified if I brought somebody else in at this point in time. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I mean, part of this chat that we do is, you know, somebody might be listening to us now going, oh, you're talking finances. How does that have to do with beauty and aging and defining it for yourselves? But I do think it's kind of a combination because I think that I don't think of beauty as just a physical thing, right? For me, it is really that whole, I love your word, fulfillment of the life that I want that is beautiful and that I'm
Yes.
defining for myself, rather, you know, at any age, at any stage, whatever we look like. I mean, whatever activities we're doing or not doing, they all can make for a beautiful life that goes beyond just the appearance thing when people hear the word beauty, right? But I love the idea of focusing on maybe not immediately today, but focusing on what is it that, like you said, what do you want that will give you a fulfilled life, and then figuring out how to get to where you can give that to yourself.
Absolutely, because I think, like you do, that beauty comes from self-expression, full self-expression. And when we are coming from our guts and using all our intuition and pouring out our heart and living in our mission, whatever that is, we are gorgeous. We are
Absolutely.
gorgeous, right? And my job in Q4 Financial Designs is to get women to that place where they feel so comfortable with their finances that the finances are only pushing them forward into full self-expression.
Ooh,
That's
I like that. I think you need to repeat that. Pushing yourself forward through full expression. I love that right there. And looking at it
yep,
as a powering, like teaming up with your finances instead of fighting against your finances, right?
that's right. Finances have a job, and it's to let us be fully expressed in this world.
I think
Absolutely.
I don't know if you just heard that. We keep getting a bell, and I don't know if it's coming from my side of things or coming from your side of things. But I love it because this last one just kind of came at the right moment. It was like ding after a great statement. So
It's all perfect. We know that.
the kismet of it. It was just kind of fun. The first one, then the second one was just like on cue, like ding. So
Love it.
let me share this a little bit. So Katie is actually going to be joining us at the Sisterhood Experience. She is not this year one of our speakers officially this year, but she will be there. I'm sure more than happy to share any of her wisdom with any of you all. But I would really like you to share, if I can ask, what was it about this sisterhood experience that what's the word I'm looking for? Gravitated you to buy, you know, to buy a ticket and come want to spend 3 days in Estes Park with us.
Absolutely. I did that without hesitation. One reason is because someone who I'm acquainted with is going to be a speaker. So she let me know about the event. Thank goodness. And then, secondly, as soon as I saw it online, I said, "These are my people. These are my people. These are Q3 and Q4 women who, if I have an opportunity, to speak with them, to plant any one little seed that would be of service to them, to just get to know them, and maybe I learn something else that I can use to serve other people, then those are 3 good days for me." And I just really appreciate your recognition of women in this stage of life. It really is our ageless stage of life, and to bring us together. I don't know what's going to happen in Estes Park when there's so many age ageless women there like us, but it's going to
Well,
be lit up, let's say.
yeah, Estes Park is not going to know what's hitting them until we're all there, right? They're going to have this. I envision the city as we're walking around the downtown shops, and we're hiking up to Gem Lake, and we're doing all these fun things. I just can't imagine what people will be thinking about, because it's just going to be this core group of women that are just rocking it and totally embracing it and not shying away from it. So I mean, I'm so excited that you're coming. I'm so excited for the speaker that shared it with you. Um, because I love that. Again, it's I think this is a really wonderful representation of this community of women that, when we get to this place in life, there is no longer the having to pull each other back and trying to run ahead of the other. It's this totally uplifting, coming around together, gathering around tables as if you're at a family dinner. Because I feel like literally you're going to come to this event. I really feel like you're going to walk away with lifelong friendships,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
and the knowledge from within the speaker sharing, and then just with the stuff that will take place around the tables. I just
Well,
like, yes. So I'm thrilled that you're coming. I'm super excited. I hope that maybe between Kate and I sharing a little bit about the event, the experience, and a little bit about finances, that maybe it'll get you thinking a little bit, and kind of maybe checking in with yourself and checking in with your heart to see where you're at. And if you haven't asked yourself the question of fulfillment, what you want and how you're going to live fulfilled, maybe this conversation will pique that for you. Katie, where can they reach you if they are piqued and want to talk to you? Where can they reach you easily enough?
the best is just to either give me a call or shoot me a text. And I can give my Calendly link as well. But hey, just feel free to call me. My clients have my cell phone number and can call me 24/7, and anyone else can too.
Okay.
But
Well,
that
we'll
is
be,
great. Yeah.
yeah,
You want
I'll
me
make
to?
sure that we get those things added into things when we do the descriptions below. I'll
Thank
make
you.
sure that we add some of those links so that they can easily access you too. And then I guess just like, how about one word of wisdom that's not financial wisdom at this point in time? How about one word, or not word, but one phrase of wisdom for you that you wish all women knew about what it's like to be going into these Q4, these next stages?
Oh, gosh. Good question. Beautiful question. I would say, just embrace who we are here to be. Let that come up and just embrace it, and no holes barred anymore. Like, these are the last half of our lives. This is the best half. Let's embrace it and have people around us to help us be fully self-expressed.
I love that. The magazine key lines are embrace you, celebrate her, and be inspired. You just summed
Oh,
up basically that whole kind of commotion of what our tagline is, because as women, we got to do that, right? Like, if we're embracing ourselves, celebrating other women, and then inspiring the rest, I mean, we are bound to have a wonderful fourth quarter, third quarter, wherever quarter we're at. And just, there will be some young women at this event as well. So we have some that will be in their second quarters because they're coming with moms, which I think is great because it gives us a chance to help that next generation move forward a little bit quicker than maybe some of us did. So I'm super excited.
yes, I
Yeah.
love that women will bring their daughters to this event because, we start our caretaking usually with the first child, right? And
Oh,
that
absolutely.
is important to get some tips in place and illuminate those blind spots so that we're not missing out on some important saving and investing that we often miss out on during that period. So love having the daughters there.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be fun. I'm not sure how many we're gonna have yet, but I think that some of these young women are gonna walk away probably thinking they know more about midlife than they ever thought they'd know at their ages. But that's okay because they'll know how to rock it by the time they get there, then, right? So,
Absolutely.
Katie, thank you so much for coming on and sharing some information with me, sharing some wisdom with us, sharing your spirit because it's just beautiful. You just have a beautiful spirit, which is what I was drawn to when we first met. My earpiece keeps wanting to pop out today. Thank you, thank you. I can't wait to see you in September. I'm sure she is a Colorado gal, so I'm sure I will get to see her before then, everybody. But um, go and check out Katie, get to know her, and we hope to see you soon and see you next lounge. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin.